Wanted to do a quick update video on my Honda 750 Hondamatic project. So I've had the bike completely apart after mock-up. I went ahead and powder coated the frame and cleaned up the engine. Spent a lot of time on that. I had to do it here in the garage. It's really cold outside, and so I had to do all the cleanup in the garage, and that wasn't my favorite thing, but I got the engine really cleaned up well. Made sure I cleaned really good in all the fins, both in the head and in the pan underneath. The pan underneath was completely caked with dirt and gravel, so I would assume this bike was ridden quite a bit on a real dirty, gravelly road to pull all that dirt in. So everything's cleaned up, painted. I'm in the process now of putting everything back together. I have the tins painted, or at least the paint job that I did on them, and I'll show those before the video is done. But the things going back together really, really well. I have the cords run through right now, and a buddy of mine is going to come over and do the electrical, and we want to run the electrical through the frame and just give it a really clean look when it's all done. So that's where this is at right now. I'll stop the video and then I'll pick it up again and show you the tank and the rear fender and what I did for the detail on those. Thanks. So here's the gas tank, and what I've done is I cleaned up, gave it a coat of powder coat when I powder coated everything else, and I just kept the blue of the powder coat up underneath, and then I covered the tank with stamps. So there's a lot of videos on Facebook about that technique. It's called decoupage, and I just use regular Elmer's glue, and I painted sections of the tank, put the stamps on, painted over top of the stamps, and then I let those dry. And then once the entire tank was done, I left it dry for 3 or 4 days just to make sure it was good and set. And then I sanded with 600 grit, wet or dry, and I did that dry, of course. And then I gave it a couple coats of automotive clear. And then I let that dry for a couple of days. Then I came back and wet sanded. And when you put the clear on, some of the edges on the stamps lift up a little bit. So that second process of doing the wet sanding, and when I did the wet sanding, I just dipped the sandpaper in water, got a little bit of water on the fender and on the tank, and then sanded in sections. And then as soon as I was done, I wiped it and cleaned it real good. And again, I just did that with clear water, no chemicals on it. And then I gave it 2 more coats of clear. So I'm real happy with it right now. It's really shiny. I don't know if that's showing up the best in the video, but very, very shiny, very, very smooth. I've got a few little edges. I did this technique once before on a motorcycle, tank and fender, and I think this time I've got a much better finish. It's much smoother. I didn't do that second step of the clear on the other one that I did, and I was just never happy with how smooth it turned out. But this really is nice. There's just, like I said, a very few edges that you feel. So this can be done with stamps. It can be done with stickers. I've seen them do that where they try that technique. Any type of paper that you want to use. The big thing is with the stamps, it's really easy to get them to bend around these edges and these corners. So that makes for a very smooth finish going on. And I got a little touch-up work to do right around here. That's just going to get cleaned up, and I'm going to redo that in blue. The gas cap will hide most of that anyway, but I want to just clean that finish up a little bit. All right, thanks for watching the video.